And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. I appreciate you guys tuning in on the social media networks. Glad you all could be with us. We're excited about today's guest. We're about to connect with our friends over on Amazon. And we're live now on Amazon Live. We appreciate you guys joining us on the Amazon Live platform. I'm Cyrus Webb, and if you guys are new to us on Amazon, make sure you guys do hit that follow button. You see it here in this corner or down below. You also will see the current books by our next guest. She has a new book that she'll be adding this year. We're excited to welcome back author and historian Tina Siemens to our broadcast today. Tina's been with us several times discussing her book, Seminole. Some People Never Give Up. You guys can see it in the carousel over there on Amazon, as well as her second book, the award-winning book, The Little Sandals That Could. She's back with us today as we're kicking off 2025 to talk about not only her own personal history, but also her connection to former President Jimmy Carter, who, recently passed away. We're going to talk to her about her own experience that makes its way into the book as well. And we'll let you guys know how to stay connected with Tina, too. Tina, always a pleasure to have you back on with us. Thanks for the time.
Cyrus, it is always a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me one more time, and looking forward to just speaking about the passionate topics that Seminole and the Little Sandals carry throughout.
Yeah. And you and I were just having a great conversation before this conversation, Tina. We were talking about your own history. And what I appreciate so much about you writing your family story, but also your story in books like Seminole, Some People Never Give Up, and Little Sandals That Could. What has that been like for you now, Tina, especially as I mentioned with the recent passing of President Jimmy Carter, to be able to see how that connection is being made with your own history?
Well, this morning, as I was praying about this conversation, I was just praying, Lord, give me a word that I can anchor my conversation around. And the word that came to me was gratitude. Do we feel, like, physically be able to feel gratitude? And that is it. I feel so much gratitude for the many layers of people that made it possible for me to become a U.S. citizen. And that is the reason I am here today. So
Yeah.
much gratitude.
And what's so interesting, Tina, and that's why I'm so glad to have you on with us, because I think a lot of times we hear in the news and we hear stories and we hear words about immigration and citizenship, and
Mhm.
if we don't have a personal connection to it, right? We don't really understand it. But one thing you're able to share in Seminole, as well as in Little Centers That Could, is that you were a part of a group of 500 Mennonites that could
Yes,
have had to leave this country if something wasn't done. What was it like for you when you were writing these books to think about that? How, not of course how citizenship came about for you, but also, the anxiety that so many felt at that time.
it was such a tremendous trial. Those first 5 years, from 1977 to 1986,
Hmm.
were years of such a roller coaster of yes, we can stay, no, we have to go. Like three times where we would literally, our visas were expiring, and then we got an extension. Then just before they expired, we would get a notification again that we needed to deport. And the buses literally were lined up in our small community downtown, ready to take us out. And it was at that moment where another extension came, and it was because it started with our mayor in our community, Gaines County, Seminole, Texas. The people had compassion over the strangers in their land, and that is what it all got started in. And so for it to end up all the way to the president of the United States, to feel that compassion on their end for a group of people that wanted so much to become a fabric of the United States is truly a miracle in itself.
Yeah. You write about this. I want to read it, Tina, in your book, The Little Sandals That Could. I'm going to highlight it for those on the Amazon side. You all can get the paperback of the book here on Amazon for $9.99, or you can get the Kindle edition as well for only $2.99. I'm going to read from pages 50 and 51. Here's where Tina is sharing a bit of her story, and it all begins with the power of the press, with photos being taken, shared in the newspaper. And I love the way that your mother expressed this. I can't believe a photo has changed things. I love that, Tina, because again, it shows the importance of exposure and getting the word out. And I think, for a lot of people, people think, you know, what is that going to do? Why should I tell my story? Why should I? But it really does show what can happen, because then you write about this on page 51, Tina. Months later, Tina learned that many caring citizens, along with Texas congressmen and two senators, were all fighting hard to make a pathway for the Mennonites to stay. So it wasn't hard to believe when her father got an important call one evening. Yes, he said, his voice shaking. That's wonderful news. I'll tell my family. What is it? Her brother asked. President Jimmy Carter just signed a special bill granting more than 500 Mennonites a green card. All these Americans, starting with our Mayor Clark, all the way up to the President of the United States, have worked faithfully for us so that we can stay in America, even though we are strangers in this land. Talk about that moment for you, Tina, to reflect back on. I mean, you have it recorded now in your book. What was it like for you to reflect back on that when you were writing this?
It brings joyful tears every time I think about it, because it was such a powerful moment of this milestone has been reached. Our dreams, the dream that started so many years ago with my father being a young boy and my great grandparents immigrating from Canada to Old Mexico. And he always told my dad from a very young age, when you get old, make your way back north. It's so much easier to make a living out there. And that's the thought process that my dad carried throughout his childhood into adulthood. And then here he was finally reaching the possibility of being able to stay. We tried immigrating to South America, then back to Canada, and all of those didn't work. Then Seminole, Texas came up, and it was like finally it looked like this could be a dream that would be achievable. And for my father to be able to come and take his family with him and to go through this process, and then to hear that much awaited and anticipated phone call that bill that didn't pass the House last year did pass now, and it became a law, Private Law 9663. That is the piece of document that made the pathway to citizenship possible. And I am here because of that. I cannot overstate that enough, that it was through so many people that had compassion of seeing somebody in need and then acting upon that.
We all have heard now a picture's worth 1,000 words. In that I read, of course, it was President Jimmy Carter that was able to sign that. Here we're able to see a picture of you, Tina, with former President Jimmy Carter and his wife and your granddaughters. Take us into this picture, and I'm glad you told me this, Tina, because me being a guy, I wouldn't have even noticed. You're wearing in honor of this photo, you're wearing that outfit today. But what was this moment like for you?
It was about 500 people in the audience, and my friend Jen and George Williams, who invited me to come to this morning's Bible study at Maranatha Church in Plains, Georgia. She said, I will leave you for the very last. Let all the other people in the congregation go and have their picture taken, and then you will be the last one. And a reporter was sitting behind me, and I said, would I be able to ask you to snap a picture when me and my granddaughters are up there? And I will pay you when I get back home. And he took this picture. And I was very strictly instructed, do not talk to the President and Miss Roslyn, don't touch them, just go stand there and to have the picture taken. Well, my friend Jan did so much pre-work. She gave my book to President Carter, and she said, this is my friend from Seminole, Texas, and she's here to thank you for giving her the pathway to citizenship, and here's her book for you. So he held up my book, and we could go behind, and he reached out and he shook my hand not once, but twice. And I just said, thank you, President. not only for me, but for my community. Because so many of these people that made that day a citizenship of the United States are now a part of the American fabric. So I felt all those emotions in this moment. And I was so grateful to share that with my granddaughters, Briley and Kira. And so to relive that moment is always going to be such a special time, because it wasn't a political party. It was just a Christian couple that had compassion over my family. And so for me to give back, thank him for that. The Bible story that comes to mind, where's the other 9 that were healed but didn't come back to thank you? I was able to thank them for their generosity and for their compassion. And this is a result of that. And that picture is truly 1,000 words.
Right, exactly. Thank you so much, Tina, for sharing that. I want to say hello to you guys on Instagram. Lydia, hello to you. Kimberly, Butterfly Thoughts, hello to you. Cayman Kelly, hello to you. For those who are just tuning in, welcome. You're watching Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. We're joined today by author and historian Tina Siemens, sharing her own personal connection to former President Jimmy Carter, who we recently lost. She's been talking with us about the importance of history, but also her own connection to history, her being a part of 500 Mennonites who were actually granted citizenship. And it was President Jimmy Carter that was able to sign that. This is again shows the importance of history, because again, like you mentioned, your granddaughters are now able to look back at that photo as well. What has that been like? You and I haven't talked about this, but what was it like for them to think about being a part of that photo with you?
As they get older, they appreciate it more and more. They will say in their classmates that I met President Jimmy Carter and his wife Rosalynn, and they say, what? Like, it is, as they're getting older, they are appreciated of the fact. And so I think that gratitude is being passed on to them, and they won't ever forget the journey. Like, I made it very patriotic. It was the flight over there and getting ready. It felt like such a celebrating event, even though that was a beautiful church service. For us, it was much more than that church service. And it was the very last time that President Carter, at age 95, with a broken hip, taught Sunday school. That's the time when I was in his audience. And so there's just so many beautiful moments and takeaways that I will be able to talk about for the rest of my life.
Such a great point, and we're excited about being able to share this with our audience. Tina, as I mentioned, for those who didn't know, I didn't know before reading your book Seminole what Seminole meant. I want to talk about what that has been like for you, because I think for a lot of people, as we hear places, we don't think about the significance of them. Does that make it even more powerful for you, knowing the significance of a place named Seminole? And then, of course, what has happened there in Seminole, Texas for you?
Well, Seminole, like anybody knows, there's Seminole, Florida, there's Seminole, Oklahoma, and then there's Seminole, Texas. Well, it was for the Seminole tribe, Cimarron tribe, that came with the black Buffalo Soldiers from the state of Florida. And they were the ones that found the 50 shallow water wells. And the captain of the 10th Cavalry said to his clerk, let's name these wells the Seminole Wells in honor of the Buffalo Soldiers that were scouting with them together. And so Seminole, these Buffalo Soldiers came from a tribe in the state of Florida, and they were set apart. And so Seminole means set apart or runaway. So it is such a coincidence. No, with God, nothing is coincidence. It's all intentional. But the Mennonites have always kind of been set apart. If you read or see the map in front of my book, Seminole, I've got all the dates and the journeys that the Mennonites have immigrated and migrated to and from. And so they have always been set apart. And so therefore, I just feel like it's such a meaningful place to be in Seminole, Texas, because not only is it set apart, but the different cultures that are present here, working together, making it a North American continent, small town possibility. It is just because we are set apart, but also the bridge, my name, Puyai Posakani, given by the Comanche Nation. Me and many others can bridge these gaps that are so powerful and meaningful. So to be set apart is what we are called to be, set apart from the world. We're not to associate ourselves with worldly influences, but it is to this beautiful way of we can be part of the world, but not in the world. And so I just think that that set apart has, again, so many different topics and layers that we can take away from it. And I'm just grateful to be in a town that is considered to be set apart. And here I am as a set apart, sharing with the world what great things have happened in Seminole, Texas.
Right. And I think that, and such an education as well, Tina, because again, anyone who's read Tina's books, and again, both of these available here on Amazon, Seminole, some people never got, but just her family's history. Of course, we learned about Tina too, but Tina's stories in The Little Sentinels That Could, including, of course, the story of citizenship. Family it's very obvious. It's something that's very important to you. Your family went through a lot of loss. And I love one of the funny stories I remember from Seminole. Is when you all were celebrating, and one of the things you said in the book, Tina, that I thought was funny, I was going to mess with you about, is that for you to be able to celebrate was really you doing a lot of baking. I mean, I want to talk about that connection about food. Willetta, hello to you. Willetta says sounds beautiful. Melissa, hello to you as well. Melissa's joining us over there on Facebook. What was it like for you? Because it does seem like baking was a big part of showing love and community. You share recipes in these books as well. Talk to us about the relationship between food and family.
Well, food brings people to the table. And in the dining rooms of homes is where the family unit is strengthened. You can be raw, you can be real with your family, and that is happening around the dining room table. As you're cooking in the kitchen, I love having family gatherings. And most of you who know anything about the Mennonite culture, they have large families. I have 7 siblings. My husband is the baby, and he's number 13. There was 15. 2 passed away in infancy, but large families mean a lot of cooking needs to happen. And so for us to be able to reunite and just share the love of food, and that brings all these stories, because there's no shortage of stories among us, because there's always migrating and always adjusting to new homes, new cultures. And so there have been recipes adopted from the Netherlands, from Poland, from Ukraine, Canada, Old Mexico, all of these things that is connecting our cultures with wherever we've lived. And I think food is just such a powerful, and even Jesus, he said, when he fed the 5,000, the disciples said, send them home. We're all tired. Send them home. But he said, no, let's feed them. And so with a full tummy, you are able to then sit back and relax and enjoy the conversations that are happening after the dinner has been served. So for me, sharing recipes is just one thing of that connects people and that connects families.
Love that. Willetta says family is everything. It's such a great thing. Tina, you have spent so much of your time not only, of course, sharing your own family's history, but also talking about the importance of history. You're doing that again in 2025. Talk to us about book 3. I know this is something you spent a lot of time working on that's coming out this year. What can we expect from the 3rd book that's coming from you?
It is an amazing connection again through history. I found 2 books online, and those 2 books it had the picture of Quanah Parker in it. And they were connecting with the Mennonite culture, the Mennonites that immigrated from Ukraine to Kansas. And it just uncovered for me a brand new line of connections that I did not know existed until about 3 years ago. And so for me to be able to write this book that's coming out very, very soon, I'll keep you posted on that. But it just shows again the job that my blood relative, a cousin that immigrated from Ukraine to Kansas, the work that he started in 1896 in Oklahoma among the Comanche Nation is what I can now continue. And that's what the book will be about. That's what the museum is about. And so for me to bring that part of my connections to the world is just something that I'm truly looking forward to.
Love that. Love that. Well, it gives us something to look forward to for sure. Again, everyone, author and historian Tina Siemens has been our guest. Her 2 books that are out now are seminal. Some People Never Give Up. Ironically, started 2024 as an award-winning book, and she ended 2024 with this award-winning book, The Little Sandals That Could. I'm going to highlight it for you guys over on the Amazon side. As you can see, both of these are available in paperback as well as in Kindle, and the 3rd book is on the way. Tina, so excited for you. I should also mention that Tina is also the owner of a museum there in Texas as well. Tina, let our audience know, how can they stay connected with you?
I would love to hear from you, and you can stay connected with me. DM me on my social media platforms. I'm on all platforms as Tina Siemens, or email me at seminalthebook@gmail.com.
Love it. And I cannot let Tina go without also saying she's one of our co-hosts for The Words I Choose to Live By family. That's here on Amazon as well. We'll be returning next week, so I'm excited about that. Tina, it's been great having you part of the Words family. It's been great being able to work with you and spread the message about your books and your love of history, and looking forward to our next chat together.
Thank you so much for the opportunities and for this morning. It's been absolutely a joy to share.
Totally our pleasure. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.